Hallo Leute, willkommen zu What Remains of Edith Finch. Das ist ein Spiel, auf jeden Fall. Ich kenne das schon, allerdings kennen das zu viele Leute, zu wenige Leute, also vor allem zu wenige Freunde von mir. Deswegen, ich wollte es also selber schon mal spielen. Das ist halt, als ich das gesehen habe auf einem Let's Play, ist halt schon echt viele Jahre her. Deswegen dachte ich mir, ich spiele es einfach selber. Ja, mehr habe ich eigentlich nicht wirklich zu sagen. Ich spiele das jetzt hier in einem durch. Und ja. Reicht aber eigentlich.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Da ist schon das Haus. Ich muss ehrlich sagen, ich weiß nicht genau, wie ich hier reden werde. Das
I
ist halt
lived here until I was 11,
storybasiert.
but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Deswegen werde ich wahrscheinlich etwas leiser sein, aber versuche so viel zu reden wie möglich. Gleichzeitig will ich mich so ein bisschen therapieren mit dem Spiel, dass ich mehr rede, auch wenn es Battlefield Story kommt.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Okay, die Steuerung ist echt komisch. Ich musste ja... Kann ich nochmal draufdrücken? Nein. Ich muss da... Oh, ich habe einen Körper. Ich muss da mit der Maus gedrückt halten und
I
dann
hadn't
die
been
Maus
back since
bewegen.
my brother Lewis's funeral.
Die Kameras?
In her will, my mother left me a key but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Was ist hier? Ich glaube, hier geht's zum Haus. Oder was geht? Ich kann auch nicht sprinten. Das ist Shift hier und das ist Steuerung.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Anscheinend was. Achso, okay. Wahrscheinlich gehen beide Wege.
Even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Was steht da drauf? Milton Finch. Ja, ich meine, also Missing natürlich, aber mehr kann ich darauf nicht lesen. Hätten anscheinend beide Wege zur, oh, warte mal. If you have information about Milton, call the Orcas Island Police Department. Okay.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Das Haus sieht so
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Ich muss sagen, ich finde dieses Haus unfassbar cozy. Also von außen. Ich liebe das einfach, wenn Sachen so richtig vollgestellt sind. Also nicht so vollgestellt Messi-mäßig, sondern so einfach schön vollgestellt. Dass es irgendwie Sinn macht. Kann ich mich hier hinsetzen? Schade.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Okay, das ist echt komisch mit der Maus. Also. Kann ich das hochheben hier? Also durch den Garten rein. Ich habe zwar gesagt, dass ich das Spiel schon kenne, aber das ist halt wirklich 1000 Jahre her. Also an diesen Anfang hier kann ich mich noch relativ gut erinnern, aber eigentlich nichts mehr, was danach kommt. Okay, warum hast du nicht die Tür probiert zuerst?
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Sieht ultra schön aus. Vor allem dieses lilane Licht. Das Spiel ist unfassbar. Was ist das? Ist das so? Sind das Kunststoff, also so Styropor-Dinger oder sind das so Holzbriketts? Also warte mal. Gary's Potting Mix. Was Fertilizer. Also ist das so eine Art Dünger, was man auf Beete streut. Hier ist es eine Fritteuse. Oder ist das Tiefkühlfach? Und da ist auf jeden Fall eine Energy-Dose, dort sieht so aus. Was ist das? Sieht aus wie so eine Art wie eine Schublade. Wie sowas, was man unter den Tisch klemmt. Ich kann immer noch nicht, oder warte, kann ich mitzählen? Nein. Ist Sessel, den ich unbedingt brauche in meinem Leben. Ich habe bis jetzt keinen Sessel. Aber hoffentlich wird sich das in wenigen Monaten ändern. Ich brauche endlich einen Sessel. Wozu ist dieser Ball da? Ich meine, vielleicht für den Hund zum Spielen, aber ich hätte jetzt gedacht, erstmal zum Garagentor öffnen, aber das ist ja da vorne. Oder hier.
For the first time in years,
Hier Eddie, Dawn, Lewis, Milton, Edith. Ich glaube, das ist die Reihenfolge von den Geschwistern. Wobei, macht glaube ich keinen Sinn. Edith ist glaube ich die älteste. Ne, die jüngste? Da ist Milton der jüngste. Milton stand auf jeden Fall eben, dass der 2003 geboren ist und dann entführt wurde. Oder entführt, aber verschwunden ist. Das ist jetzt gerade. Ne, es ist nicht 2010, das ist wahrscheinlich. Ich weiß nicht genau, wann es ist.
I felt like I was home.
Ich muss sagen, von innen sieht es ein bisschen. Also hier die Küche ist ein bisschen sehr zugemüllt.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
Ich glaube, Dawn ist meine Mutter. Eddie ist meine Oma. Lewis scheint mein Bruder zu sein. Loving memory of Louis Finch. Beloved brother to Edith, son of Dawn, great grandson to Eddie. Eddie? Sagt man wirklich Eddie? Oder Edie? Eddie. Memorial Service. Finch Family Cemetery. Okay, also mein älterer Bruder, sieht jedenfalls aus, ist auf jeden Fall gestorben. Und mein kleinerer Bruder ist verschwunden. The Holiday Feast, Witch's Kitchen, Vikings Bear. Also von den Büchern her sieht es auf jeden Fall aus wie, als würde das so dass wir das auf jeden Fall in einem nordischen Bereich spielen. Ich meine, der Wald sieht auch relativ nordisch aus, mit vielen Fichten und so, aber das hier? Irgendwas Amerikanisches, was ich nicht kenne.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Hier sind ganz viele asiatische Bücher. Da sind nordische Bücher. Ich kann mir vorstellen, dass es so eine Art, dass die einzelnen Familienmitglieder sehr da oben. The Book of Mushrooms, Northwest Chef. Vielleicht spielt es auch einfach in Amerika, irgendwo im Norden, vielleicht Kanada oder so. Ich weiß leider nicht, wo Orcus Island. WA. Eigentlich nicht Washington, oder? Also es wird eher mit DC abgekürzt. Keine Ahnung.
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Aber wie alt war Louis eigentlich, als er gestorben ist? Würde mich mal interessieren. Louis war 32. Nee, 22. Ich bin dumm. Wenn er dann mit der Fish Factory gearbeitet hat, ist er halt kurz nachdem der richtig gearbeitet hat, ist schon gestorben. Wirklich alles voll mit Canned Fish. Was ist das wahrscheinlich? Ich weiß nicht, ob ich es eben gesagt habe, ich habe schon wieder vergessen. Wahrscheinlich irgendwie Sardinen oder so oder Thunfisch.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Gott.
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house. Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came
Edie.
from the original house, after it sank.
Immerhin haben die einen Plasmafernseher hier. Wobei, also immerhin kann man jetzt nicht unbedingt sagen, aber das öffnen. Dawn Finch. Das sieht so aus. Ich weiß nicht, die sieht entweder so aus, als wäre das ein Umzugskarton zum Einziehen oder zum Ausziehen, aber ich hätte eher einziehen und die wusste nicht mehr, wo es hin. Sieht ja alles sehr mit Progress aus.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Oh.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
Ich glaube, ich habe hier unten alles ausgecheckt. Mal aus dem Fenster schauen. Bringt mir das irgendwas? Also rausgehen kann ich nicht. Dann schätze ich mal. Also geht's davon noch nach links. Ja, okay, das war eben ein Schloss. Oh, nee, ein
Edie told me
Spion.
once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Okay. Ups. Kann ich raus? Dankeschön.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night. After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Also gibt es überall so Gucklöcher. Molly.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Achso, okay, ich muss mit S einfach zurückgehen jetzt. Tschüss.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Und so viel ist jetzt hier nicht, oder was ist das?
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Oh.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan, but I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Guten Appetit. Bitte.
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Dankeschön.
My Halloween candy was all gone. Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
Toll, Dankeschön, Mama.
I kept eating and eating. I ate a lot of things that night. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
Okay.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Warum bist du konstant am Schnurren? Da, wo spring ich hin? Da. Dieses Jump and Run ist so
I jumped and I almost got her.
intuitiv designt, das ist so cool.
I could tell she was getting really tired.
Ja, hoch soll ich?
Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. I gobbled her up.
Oh.
And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Wo bist du, Maus?
Rabbits.
Rabbits? Oh, kann ich die sehen? Kann ich die nicht sehen? Da vorne. Okay. Ah, da.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark. I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Vorne bist du.
Grabbed on tight. When I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Was bin ich jetzt? Ein Enzyklopädie-Monster?
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, and I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Warum kommt die Stimme von da?
As passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Ja, was finde ich hier? Besser als ein Mensch. Bin jetzt aber im Haus von denen. Hallo. Ich will wieder hoch. Nein! Ah, ja, so hoch.
I got closer and closer.
Sehe ich mich jetzt selber?
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Katze?
I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here.
Irgendwo hier ist eine Katze.
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Kann ich das Fenster aufmachen? Cat? Oh Gott, bin ich jetzt draußen?
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Okay, also es gibt eine Katze, die Molly heißt, aber nicht die eine. Was ist jetzt hier?
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Das ist Ediths Room.
We got along and it was a good place to hide from my mom.
Molly, Barbara, Alvin, Sam, Walter, Dawn, Gus, Gregory, Louis, Milton, Edith. Okay, Milton ist quasi mein größerer Bruder, oder?
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune
Norwegen.
and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Hat sein Haus auf einem Schiff verfrachtet.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
Das hätte ich nicht anders erwartet.
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Das so machen? Oder war das jetzt einfach... Okay. Genau, das.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Mysteries of Death and Thereafter. Odin Finch. Sven Edie.
Lewis died a week before we left,
Oh,
but
Lewis.
Edie had already started to memorialize him. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones.
Shrine sketches. Mole man beneath the Finch house.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
Mural sketches. Barbara concepts. Molly concepts.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Sorry.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Ich werde wahrscheinlich ein bisschen öfter husten, weil ich bin krank, aber that won't stop me. Ja, ultra stylish hier, hallo.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Okay, warum stellst du dich da drauf? Ach so.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished.
Ach so,
He
das
never
ist
put
so
it down.
das ist so ein Kamera... so ein... Wie heißt denn das? Kamerastudio-Ding, wo die Fotos bearbeitet werden. Entwickelt werden. So heißt das. Okay, was ist das für ein Zimmer? Von Calvin und dem anderen. Sam.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
So.
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up.
Okay.
And maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Same.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Ist Sam dasselbe? Okay, also hier oben ist nichts. Steht da United States Marine Corps captured the secret lives of war photographers. So.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Okay. Ich hier jetzt noch. Achso, was mit da? Bücher sind einfach nur aufgemalt.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Gehe ich jetzt hier? Kann ich hier überhaupt durch? Kann ich theoretisch schon, aber ich gehe erstmal hier weiter.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Arch Street.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Vermisste sie Soundmusik?
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
So. Oder ist es jetzt einfach irgendwas anderes und ich bin einfach... Okay. Halloween.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Okay. Bin ich auch gemeint.
Walter, are you there? Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And he was. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully.
Und jetzt hier auch durch das Fenster
She
raus.
thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Toter.
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Angenehm. Bin mir sicher.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Ich bin sicher, das hat logischerweise alles. Oh, lecker. Hier ist aber auch schon 50 Jahre alt. Und das Popcorn auch. Kann ich hier auch raus? Ne, die Tür ist ja fast versiegelt. So, wo ist denn hier ein geheimer Ausgang? Oder gibt es hier keinen? Ach, wahrscheinlich. Ja, ich muss wahrscheinlich hier zurück. Und da war ich ja, glaube ich, sogar direkt vor der Musikbox.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box. Edie's father, Odin, built the original house. Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Okay, hier bin ich, glaube ich,
It's
jetzt
funny.
ganz oben.
All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
Ich glaube, ich habe oben alles fertig. Jedenfalls wirkt das so, wie das Spiel mich schickt. Let's go. finde diese Spülbecken ultra suspekt. Vor allem das hier, das sieht so aus, als wäre das einfach auch so das Plastik.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot. I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Alle bis auf die Uroma sind ziemlich früh gestorben, scheint mir. Hier ist Walter sein Zimmer, in dem absoluten Kriegskeller.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
Gott, hier ist aber echt eng.
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
Hier ist wirklich der
Trying to
Kriegskeller.
bury something that's still
Und
alive.
Schienen.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Was ist eigentlich da hinten? Ist da... Das sieht aus, als wäre da so ein Schiff untergegangen oder was in der Richtung. Hier sind Stühle im Raum, okay.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of.
Okay, wo sind wir jetzt? Edith.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Milton. Wahrscheinlich eher Ediths Kind.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Ich kann ja sogar runtergehen. So weiter als so geht nicht.
And when you look at the house, had that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness. Any of it seems possible.
Ich finde das ultra cool, wie der alle Geschichten von der Familie so extrem wie Metaphern erzählt sind, aber so kryptisch. Also mir fällt das wirklich persönlich schwer, da die richtige Metapher
I
rauszuziehen.
think we've been surrounded by death
Die
for so
gestorben
long,
sind.
we've just gotten used to it.
Und das finde ich eigentlich ganz cool.
What
Das ist
kind
halt
of family
ziemlich,
finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
das ist halt ziemlich so.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery may be more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Zerpy, Lurpy, Furpy, Chirpy, Burpy, Slurpy und Blurpy Jr. Lucy, Daisy, Charlie, Tuck, Coco, Zoe. Aber Molly liegt nicht hier, oder? Schatzi. Christopher, Bob, Oliver, Shadow, Schatzi. Bailey. Bosch.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Edith Finch. Ben Finch. Calvin. Wally. Klick hier auf die Katze. Walter. Barbara.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Ach so, das ist das alte Haus.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Was ich auf jeden Fall meine, ist, dass es alles so, ist so metaphermäßig erzählt. Das ist halt wirklich, das sind halt wirklich die Charaktere in den, es steht halt so, wie die wollen, dass man sich an die erinnert. Und das finde ich halt richtig schön. Es ist halt einfach unfassbar offen erzählt.
Edie's
Offen und
side
klar
was always easier
gleichzeitig.
for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Sanjay Kumar.
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Okay, also sind wir ihr Kind.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Am I gonna have to
That's
shoot
cool.
anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged. Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Ich finde so richtig manuelle Kameras so schön. Ist so cozy. Irgendwas so manuell. Aha. Manuell in den Fokus bringen.
Aw.
So cool. Extrem kleiner Vogel. Und muss ich jetzt verfolgen haben. Was muss ich fotografieren? Weil hier ist gerade nichts, das mich so richtig mein Eye catcht.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely won't be moving. Hey!
That's a keeper.
Nothing quite like being outside. I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph?
Oh.
Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa's Fen taught us how to fish, how to build a fire.
Dad!
Oh.
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on the
Sorry. Wo? Ist hier was?
Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Now keep yourself squared up, elbows down, like we practiced. Whenever you're ready. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
so-
normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Toll. Ironisch.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Noch irgendwas anderes Interessantes? Geheim. Was hier? Hey. Hey Finch. Airline Ticket. Ich glaub nicht. Aber die Tür ist auch abgeschlossen. Vielleicht hier? Muss ich wieder raus oder habe ich hier. Achso, warte mal. Da kann ich rein.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Gregory, it's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. I know how silly it sounds. But I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear
I wish you could have told us about the world he saw. There's so much I don't understand about Gregory, about everything.
Jetzt Gregory oder der Flash?
But I know what happened wasn't your fault. sure he's happy. He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
So, ich kann das auch. Okay. Ich kann die Prompts auch
I can't
mit,
imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet
mit Pfeiltasten berühren.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. Rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
she never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Peace flag, breakfast, bedtime. Jo. Wirklich.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
Wir sind einfach so eine... Ich weiß nicht, ob die einfach Normalschule hatten oder einfach so Familien-History.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Ich bin froh, dass das Spiel mir nicht die Option gibt zu sprinten. Weil für die Momente, wie jetzt gerade, wo da einfach nichts passiert, ist es deutlich besser, um etwas sacken zu lassen und nicht einfach rumzusprinten.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room. Except Louis. Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small. Imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a Beautiful
Okay.
prince. The prince was on his own quest for
Escape.
radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of his electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Die, glaube ich, klarste Geschichte. Man macht auch Sinn, dass es nicht sein eigener Brief oder sowas oder von irgendwem Bekannten, sondern einfach von der Therapeutin.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Hallo? Ich wollte nicht rausgehen. Das ist noch eine Tür. Da werde ich hin.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now was to tell you about that last night.
Das so ein ganzes Haus einfach.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance, or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wondered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Okay. Ich meine, ich kannte es ja schon so ein bisschen. Deswegen fiel es mir schwer, oder fällt es mir jetzt schwer, irgendwas Neues zu sagen oder irgendwas zu sagen, was ich denke, weil ich weiß nicht. Ich finde das extrem beeindruckend, wie das Design der Geschichte, den Weg einen durch die Geschichte zu führen. Ja, keine Ahnung, was soll ich sagen. Es war unfassbar gut. Ziemlich perfekt offen. Und war eigentlich eine unfassbar runde Experience. Also ausgeglichener hätte es nicht sein können. Es hatte Gameplay, was interessant war, aber es war ein Gameplay, was irgendwie frustrierend hätte sein können, was dann irgendwie von der Geschichte ablenkt. Es war ein Gameplay, was einfach perfekt Hand in Hand mit der Geschichte gegangen ist. Ja, was soll ich sagen? Keine Ahnung. Es war ziemlich perfekt. Es hatte keinen einzigen Flaw. Der Grafikstyle ist ultra schön. Der passt perfekt. Es sieht nicht ultra realistisch aus oder so. Es ist einfach... Es ist genau der richtige Grad an Realismus und Cartoon-Style, den man für diese Geschichte braucht. Und ja. Ich bin froh, dass ich das selber gespielt habe jetzt. Nach den paar Jahren, die ich das jetzt schon kenne. Ich finde das etwas schade, dass man nicht weiß, woran Edith gestorben ist. Mir ist übrigens jetzt eben erst aufgefallen, dass das Spiel so heißt, weil es um die Großmutter geht und nicht um Edith. Schätze ich mal. Macht jedenfalls deutlich mehr Sinn. Ich glaube, sie hieß auch Edith und wurde nur Edith abgekürzt, aber ja. Ich habe ehrlich gesagt nicht mehr wirklich viel zu dem Spiel zu sagen. Also wirklich das war wirklich perfekt. Also ja, keine Ahnung. Ich wiederhole mich. Wünschte mir, ich hätte das blind erlebt. Das wäre wirklich schön gewesen. Aber das kann ich nicht nochmal, weil das bleibt einfach im Kopf. Also die ungefähre Experience bleibt halt im Kopf. Auch wenn ich jetzt einiges vergessen habe. Aber einiges vergessen hatte, sorry. Ich wähle Edith, um von Anfang an zu spielen. Geschichte wiederholen. Okay. Aber wir haben Walter verpasst. Okay. Das irgendwie, ich weiß nicht. Ich war an seinem Memorial, aber ich hatte da nichts gefunden. Schade. Ja. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Und bis zum nächsten Mal, wenn ich vermutlich wieder Shenmue spiele. Dann ciao.